Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers, sisters and brothers. Welcome to Discussing Islam at Safir TV. It's a great honor for me, Said Jalal Masumi, to have with us a great personality, great character with us in this program, Brother Salmaan Moloobhoy. If I am pronouncing correctly, inshallah, I will ask him to pronounce the last name correctly for me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Salmaan. Welcome to our program, Discussing Islam. It's a great honor for me to have you with us in this program and also introducing your great efforts during many years. So you have your camera and the mic. You can say salam to our dear viewers.
Assalamu alaikum, viewers.
And introduce yourself completely.
Introduce myself? All right. My name is Salmaan Moloobhoy. I am from India originally. I live most of the time in India and travel a lot to Dubai and other parts of the Middle East. I am the president of an institution called the Anjuman Faiz Panjetani. And I think what we're talking about today is possibly related to the activities of the Anjuman Faiz Panjetani.
Very good. So you mentioned about Anjuman Faiz Panjetani or Panjtan, very good. And also Musafir Khana, you call it like that, yes.
Right.
Could you, dear Brother Salmaan, could you explain about Faiz Panjetani? What is Faiz Panjetani? Because it might be new for some of our viewers. And also, could you mention when it was established and where exactly?
Okay, the Anjuman, the words are Urdu, basically.
Good.
Anjuman is a gathering, a group, if you wish. Faiz has many meanings. In this case, Faiz Panjetani is the fiver. The Faiz Panjetani is mainly related to the benefits from the fiver. So a group of people wishing to benefit from the five Panjetani, and this was formed in 1912 in Bombay. Yes,
my God,
a long time ago. I think it was around 1900 that the Khoja Shia Ishnashari community came up in Bombay. Prior to that, they were mainly Ismaili, followers of the Aga Khan. And the group split from that and set up the Ishnashari Jamaat, and so they became known as the Khoja Ishnashari and continued to be known as Khoja Ishnasharis, and then from there and around the same time migrated throughout Africa and so on. So the Anjuman Faiz Panjetani was formed in 1912, yes, at that time.
In 1912?
1912.
So it's maybe more than 100 years.
It is 104 years old. In 1932, it was converted into a society and registered as a legal society. And then around 1950, it was registered post-independence in India as a charitable trust. So its prime objective, and that was the objective set up by the founding fathers, was to ameliorate the condition of the pilgrims to the holy shrines in Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Syria. That was the objective.
Good.
To ameliorate, to make easy, to make it possible, because in those days, you can imagine 100 years ago, traveling was not easy.
Good.
And facilities to stay were difficult. So it was set up with that objective. And sometime in the mid-40s, properties were donated to the Faiz in Iraq. And that's how the so-called Musafir Khanas, Musafir Khanas being for the Musafir, the travelers,
of course,
the travelers' home.
In Urdu and also in Dari and
yes,
Persian.
Yes, travelers' home, travelers' residence were mainly in Karbala, Basra, Najaf, and Kazmain.
Okay, Brother Salmaan Moloobhoy, can I ask, where is the base, the center of
Faiz
Panjetani exactly?
Okay. It was, as I said, set up in Bombay, so the head office is still in Bombay.
In Bombay?
Yes. They still maintain a Musafir Khana in Bombay for pilgrims who want to come and leave from Bombay for Hajj or wherever they want to go. The Musafir Khanas in Iraq were, as I said, donated by people from different parts of the world. There were about 7 or 8 Musafir Khanas. Between 1940 and 1955 or 54, 55, these were established and operating. There's one in Kazmin, there's one in Basra, there was at least one that I know of in Najaf, and there are about 4 or 5 of them in Karbala.
Good. So you basically you have in Iraq, in Iran, in India?
No, we have nothing in Iran, we have nothing in Saudi Arabia, nothing in Syria, because no donors gave anything in those places. They only donated properties in Iraq.
So you just have in Iraq?
So we have right now in Iraq.
And also you mentioned in Mumbai.
In Mumbai,
so
yes.
it's just in 2 countries,
yes,
or 2 locations.
yes.
Good. Brother Salmaan Moloobhoy, may I know the reason of improvement and stability of this Faiz Panjetani? What is the reason? Because 100 years is really too many years to be fixed and to improve. What is the reason of improvement?
Well, you need to know a little history first. When these were set up in the 40s and 50s in Iraq, by local law, at some stage it had to be registered in Iraq also as an independent entity. So the Faiz Panjetani was established in Iraq sometime in the mid-40s, late 40s, by the Jetha Gokul family on behalf of the head office from Bombay. And the pilgrims were being looked after when they arrived in Basra by sea by the Jetha Gokul family, and then they were sent after one night's rest to their different destinations in Karbala or Najaf or Kazmin or wherever. This was originally being looked after by marhum Qasim Ali Jetha Gokul, father of Mustafa Gokul, who's still there as a trustee. And then by his brother Shahid Abdul Hussain Jetha Gokul, who looked after all these properties until 1968-69, when he was martyred by the regime of Saddam in Basra. And then they took over all the properties of the Faiz Panjetani on the grounds that these belonged to the Jetha Gokul family, which was not correct. The family were really the caretakers, they were the power of attorney holders, they were looking after the places, and they were looking after the pilgrims as well. They did a lot of social work. Abdul Hussain, marhum Abdul Hussain Jetha Gokul was a phenomenal person who looked after all these pilgrims himself. So after 69, for a few years, some places remained open in our possession, but then gradually, one by one, the regime took them over, and I think by mid-70s, they were all in possession of the government of Iraq. We tried to explain to the government. At that time, my father then was the president of the Faiz in India.
Good.
And he, along with the vice president, marhum Haji Roshan Ali Nasser, Dawood Nasser, kept going to Iraq to try and get the government to release these properties.
Good.
In 1982, the government says, yes, we will give it back to you, but nothing happened. And so these properties remain confiscated and used by the government of Iraq for their own purpose. Some they sold, some they used for university students. And it was only in 2003 that after Saddam was removed, that the government of Iraq set up a special court to go into such cases of properties taken over by the regime of Saddam. And I think there were more than 2,000 cases involved.
Good.
And it took us about 10 years in the courts from 2003 to 2013 to establish that these properties belonged to us and that we had to get them back. Now, getting them back on paper was one thing, and physically was another.
It's another thing.
Because in one case in Karbala, the guy had taken the property from the tourism ministry. He had demolished the old structure, put up a new structure to make a hotel, and then after 2002 or 2000, he stopped the work. So it was like an incomplete structure there. In Najaf, they had rented it out to somebody who was running the place as a hotel. And in Kazmin, they were using it as a hostel for students. So to get those properties back and empty again, the courts had to intervene, and in the case of Karbala, we had to actually pay compensation to this person who had put that building of $1.1 million
My God.
just for the structure that he had put up. And eventually we took that structure, we demolished it because it was no use to us, it was bad condition. So. And we've got back Kazman, and condition of course very bad inside. And so that, I think this whole thing motivated people over the years. You say 100 years, why? Because, you know, for the Zawar of Imam Hussain, people do anything.
Yes.
And so when you have these properties and the objective was for the pilgrims to go there, I think people kept fighting for this until we eventually got it back. I've been the president of this since 2008, and I must have made, I don't know how many trips to Iraq for this purpose, assisted by my fellow trustees, and alhamdulillah.
Good. We might know about all the structures you have in Faiz Panjetani. How many trustees do you have, and do you have members or no? And how is the changing of trustees? Do you have election and also membership? Do you have membership? How is everything, if you can explain?
Yeah. See, the Faiz Panjetani in Bombay, the head office, has members of the Khoja community.
Good.
And there are trustees who have been appointed. There are 8 trustees. And according to the rules of the trust and rules of the Charity Commissioner's Office, the trustees fill in the vacancies if any trustee either resigns or passes away.
Good.
So we have 8 trustees there. And in Iraq, we had to form, as before, there was a separate NGO kind of organization, which also was cancelled by Saddam.
Okay.
But in 2013, after we won the court cases, we had to apply for re-registration of our original NGO, and it took till December 2013 to get that done. And there was the only one surviving trustee from the olden days, that is Haji Mustafa Jetagokal, who lives in Dubai and Karachi. And so we were fortunate, but I must say that without the help of Grand Ayatollah Sistani, we would not have succeeded in this matter. But he did help us a lot with the relevant departments in the government to get this sorted out, because they couldn't find any papers. They couldn't find anything, any records, I think all damaged in the war or whatever it was. So yes, it was a great thing to achieve, and then only after that could we start doing the structural work or repairs or reconstruction or whatever it is, because until then the ownership had to vest in something, and that something had to be an Iraqi entity, and that was the NGO. By December 30th of 2013 it was re-established.
Good. So overall, how many members do you have?
Well, in India, you know, the Jamaat of Bombay is about 15,000 people, so it's everybody
involved.
is a member. Yeah, everybody can be a member. It's not an exclusive sort of club.
So you mentioned some difficulties you had during the regime of Saddam. Do you have any difficulties right now?
No. Alhamdulillah, right now, see, as I said, in 2013 when we got the property back, we first decided to redo the Najaf property, which is just, if you walk out of the door of our Musafir Khana, the Haram Sehen area starts 10 meters away.
Very good.
And if you walk to the entry of the Haram, it's 90 meters distance. So it's so close. They didn't allow us to demolish and rebuild, so we had to rebuild from inside. You know, in these buildings which were like 60 years old, they were brick foundation, brick walls, no bathrooms, common bathroom on one end of one floor, no bathroom in individual rooms. So we had to redo the whole thing as a modern place, you know, with bathrooms in every room, air conditioning. So really, it meant redoing the whole thing. We had to put 400 tons of cement under the ground to strengthen the foundation, which had, you know, eroded, if you wish. The sand had sort of eroded, and we had to pump that in to strengthen the whole building. So it cost us more to do this renovation work than it would have cost to build a new one, maybe double the cost. So it's operational, alhamdulillah, since 25th of July. It was inaugurated by the representative of Grand Ayatollah Sistani, Sayyid Murtaza Kashmiri, his son Sayyid Muhammad Reza, Ayatollah Sistani's son Sayyid Muhammad Reza, Sayyid Muhammad Musawi of World Ahlul Bayt Islamic League, Sayyid Ala Musawi, the head of the Awqaf Shia of Iraq, Sayyid Jafar, who was the head of the Awqaf of Karbala, Ataba Karbala Husseini, the head of the Ataba Imam Ali alayhi salam, and all of them were there. So when you ask me, did we have problem? No. We have support from everybody. NGO directed people were there. The government has supported us. Everybody supported us. I think most people in Iraq knew about the history of the Faiz and the tragedy of Shahid Abdul Hussain Jetha and what happened. Everyone from Basra knew about this.
They know.
So I think everyone went out the way to help us.
Okay, Brother Salmaan Moloobhoy, may we know about the facilities? Which type of facilities do you have in Faiz?
In Najaf, which is the only one that is now functional,
okay,
because just started, we have about 35 rooms for 70 guests.
70 guests?
Yeah.
At the same time, yes.
At the same time. We are providing currently for the first month and a half a very nominal rate. We're charging of $25 per person, including 3 full meals. It would be normally $30 after the end of Shawwal. And during the Maksusi period, like Arba'in or in Gadir or in Arafat, we would be charging $50.
$50.
And in
it's
Muharram,
per person
$40
or per room?
Per person.
Per person.
Including full meals. And this
Full
is half of what you'd get in a hotel. Because the objective is to make it affordable to people of all types. And if you're able to afford to pay more, then we've requested that the person staying there could consider making a donation, because at the end of the day, we are a non-profit organization. So if you stay and you think you could afford to pay $100 to stay in the hotel next door called Qasr al-Dur,
yes,
and if you're staying here for $30, maybe you could consider putting $30 into a donation box so that we could use that for our future development. And that's how we're functioning right now. Alhamdulillah, we are quite fully booked. We don't ask like other hotels do, minimum 10 days in Arba'in, minimum so many days in so and so period. No, it's...
So how is the length of staying there? Did you have any limit or?
No, well, of course we can't have anybody stay permanently, because for $30 a day at $900 a month, you can stay and eat food and it'll be cheaper than anywhere else. No. Most people don't stay more than 5, 7 days, 8 days. So more than 15 days, we don't allow bookings. You know, it's not meant for a permanent home.
How is the booking working? It is online?
It is online. On our website, we have bookings at faizapanjetani.com. So people send a mail giving details of their dates of arrival, the number of people in the group, and so on. And then we say, yes, we have availability. And if they confirm, we send them a confirmation reference number, which they're supposed to carry. And we also send that to the front office manager. We're running it literally like a hotel, but we don't call it a Musafir Khana. We're now calling it a residence. A home away from home is basically what we're trying to achieve. So it's called Al Najaf Residence in Najaf, and Al Qasr Residence in Karbala when it opens.
So do you have any priorities, or no? It's just normal. So you don't have any priority for any person?
No priority. First come, first serve. Whoever it is, Ishna Sharif allowed to stay. No.
And what about if he or she isn't, for example, Sunni brothers or sisters?
For the moment, our constitution is based for Ishna Sharif.
Okay.
So it is for Ishna Sharif.
Good. How is a typical day, one typical day in Musafir Khana? How is everything?
Well, it depends on each individual, right? You know, people now in summertime with temperatures 50 degrees, people only go out for namaz in the afternoon for prayers and Zohar Asr, and then everyone starts going out in the evening, right? Whether you go to Kufa, you go to Masjid Sahla, you go to Zayat of Kumail or Maitham Tammar or wherever you wish to go. It's all in the evening. So people normally spend 3-4 days to cover all the ziyarats and then proceed from there to Karbala, or vice versa, come from Karbala and then leave from Najaf to go to wherever they want, because the airport is in Najaf, most convenient airport. So people really, most people who come small groups, 4, 6, 8 family members. So they're free to do as they want. It's not like a big organized tour. Yes, there are some big organized groups which come 40, 50 people.
Yes. Do you have any facility for them?
No, we don't take any responsibility for their do it, because their group themselves know what they're doing. They have a schedule and a plan. All we try to tell the groups is that, listen, we are a waqf. If we are giving you $30, we expect you to charge $30 to the person that you're bringing, not $50. You're not supposed to make a profit from us. So as long as you bear that principle, you're welcome to book. And the priority is not to the groups which are 40, 50. Priority is for the smaller groups of 8, 10 family people.
Good. Brother Salmaan Moloobhoy, what are the plans you have for future? Do you want to carry on these Musafir Khanas, Faiz Panjetanis as they are, the same as actual, or do you have any more plans? Or
so right now we are so busy with the restoration work. You know, we've got Kazmain, which is similar to Najaf, 35 rooms. We have now sent engineers in from today to, first they had to clean up the mess from inside, the rubble and all that. Engineers have gone to assess the condition of the building, what requires to be done, structurally how strong it is. Again, the same problem, no bathrooms anywhere, nothing. So we hope to be able to finish, if we have the funds from donors, we finish Kazmain maybe by the end of 2017, early 2018. In Karbala, we had, as I said, several properties. Some have been taken over for the road building, some have been taken for road widening. So now we have 2 properties. One is known as Al Qasr, which is on the road of Baba Qibla.
good.
350 meters from the Haram of Imam Hussain alayhi salam on the main road. You can't get better than that. So it's walking distance, 5-10 minutes walk. We are, as I said, we demolished that structure which existed. We are rebuilding a new structure, 12 floors, 150 rooms for 500 guests in Karbala. Because, you know, Karbala is the place where most people want to spend a lot of time and go there. We have, the project cost is about $12 million. We have so far mobilized 5 million. If all goes well, we will have the steel structure erected for the 12 floors by the end of this year.
Good.
And then, based on the fund flow, we will continue to do the internal work of the building. Subject to the availability of funds, we should be able to also complete that by the second quarter of 2018. So once we have all the 3 operational, Najaf, Karbala and Kazmain, in fact, we were proposed recently at the inauguration time that we should also build one in Samara, and that the government would give us land in Samara to build one, so that all the 4 centers are covered. And we're just first waiting to finish these 3 and then look at Samara. Samara is not really an easy place to go to and stay in.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah. So, but inshallah, in the next 2 years, who knows? Maybe inshallah. It's all normal.
Okay, Brother Salmaan Moloobhoy, we are due for a break. Inshallah, we'll come back and we will have with us our brother Salmaan Moloobhoy. Many information about the Faiz Panjetani and Musafir Khanas will be shortly with you. Thank you very much.